Well, it's Hillary Clinton at the National Constitution Center Day in Philadelphia, and I'm actually a little bit disappointed that I don't see more people. I didn't get tickets either, so I don't think I can go past this will call table.
So please get out there, work to the very end. Make sure you give Pennsylvania a fresh start by giving Tom Wolf a chance to be the leader of Pennsylvania.
So my question is, what do you like about Hillary Clinton? Like, what policy do you, well, if you support her for president or as a politician, what policies?
I support Hillary Clinton because for fair wage, for equal rights for women and men.
Well, we park right here. Yeah.
For just being American.
Okay. So for the equal rights, can you give an example of where that's not happening now?
No, don't ask me.
Okay.
No, don't ask me.
Or fair wage.
Fair wage. Well, I think for fair wage, you know, women should get paid just as a man should.
Right.
They do the same job. You know, and I think that her and her husband is really fighting for women to have that, you know what I mean, to have that equal right, to have the same wage as a man does.
Okay. If you compare apples to apples with wages, where a woman, a single woman with no children, and you compare a single man with no children doing the same job, the women usually actually get paid a little bit more. But it's just difficult to compare things when, you know, women have kids. It's, you know, so it's difficult for them to stay in the workforce. So when you compare a man to a woman who, you know, a man doesn't have kids, so he ends up being able to stay in the workforce more than a woman can. So
yeah, but you got to understand, you know, women is more in a family household situation than a man is.
Sure.
So it still takes more, you know, for a woman, you know, to take care of that household.
Right. Understood.
Right.
So that's why they're less likely to remain in the workforce when they have a family than a man. So that's why their wages go down. And when they do come back to work, maybe when their kids get a little bit older, then they can't necessarily be where they left off because, you know, they missed a lot of time. So they're...
Well, you know, politics is going to be politics.
Right.
I mean, you know, just like you say, from apple and oranges, it's like separated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just believe that, you know, that a woman should just have the same equal rights as a man.
Right.
I'm Abby.
Abby?
I'm Carolyn.
Carolyn? Okay, so what about Hillary Clinton do you like? Or what policies do you...
Where to begin? Yeah. Just the fact that she talked about individual human beings and issues that, as a social worker, I've seen ravage people's lives in this city in terms of affordable childcare, affordable healthcare, women's health. And I hate when people think that those are women's issues because they're everybody's issues. And the fact that she actually at least gives the impression that she's very much in touch with what is actually affecting people in this city and this state.
Okay, so there are any policies that she has that will make something happen there?
I'm pretty ignorant as to what her specific policies are.
Okay.
When she announces, we'll learn more.
Okay.
Not if, but when.
Oh, when?
Yeah.
We'll vote for her.
Yep. We're sold.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I assume you guys are Hillary Clinton supporters?
We
are.
If
she runs for president? Okay,
yes.
Great. What specific policies of Hillary do you like the best?
A lot about women.
Okay.
She's all about women.
And education.
So what specifically do you think she's going to do about women in education?
I think she will give women the freedom to make choices.
Right.
And stop the nonsense about this crazy stuff that women don't get that choice.
And equal pay for equal work.
Right. So can you name any situations where women right now don't get that equal choice or opportunity?
Well, I think that there are a lot of places And a lot of people that don't think women should have the right to birth control, that other people get to make that decision, but they're also not looking at those people can't afford children. We're educators,
So
we work in schools, and I think people have to realize that not everybody needs to have 8 children. Things like that, I think people should make that decision on their own. I think they should have that right. And that nobody should tell other people whether they can be married to a same-sex person or whatever. It's their choice to who they marry. And I know she's all about that.
Right. So I guess the only situation where women might be prevented from getting birth control is the cost of it, or are there other ways of people preventing them from?
Well, I mean, there's religious things. There's a lot of different things about it, but I think women for so many years have had that ability to make the decision, and for a lot of the Republicans to turn around and say, no, you can't get an abortion, or no, you can't do this.
It should be their choice.
It's their choice. And how can you give something for such a long period of time and then just say, no, we don't have it anymore? Would you want them to go back into the rooms and get these botched jobs? That's terrible.
It's you, Josh, please. Thank
Sure.
you.
So, if a woman can't afford birth control,
It used to be given by a lot of Planned Parenthood. I think used to give it to a lot of people. And it's getting harder and harder.
but if you meet a woman who can't afford birth control and doesn't want kids, what would you recommend that she does?
I would recommend that it's her choice. It's her choice either to carry it to full time and maybe give it up for adoption. I think that it's her choice. Whatever it is she wants to do, it's her choice. If she wants to carry it to full term and then give it up for adoption or open adoption, there's all different types of things that women can do now. So it's her choice, and that's
Right.
the key. It's her choice.
So, but if a woman can't afford birth control, how would she afford an abortion?
That's a good question.
We can work with it.
So she's locked into having a child.
Well,
Can't-
why
can't
does she
afford-
have to even have a child? I mean, at that point,
that's all part of it. There really are no clear-cut answers.
right?
There
But-
is no such thing. I mean, who knows? You know, what's in someone else's head. I can't predict. I couldn't tell someone. I know our experience, we see so many children. There are families that have tons of kids.
Right.
And I've heard many stories over the years where a parent couldn't afford certain things. Their electricity was turned off. I know a specific incident where the mother was pregnant for the 8th time and very young. Her electricity was turned off and had to be turned back on because she had 7 children and one on the way.
Right.
You know,
But isn't that ultimately her choice to have
it
8
is.
kids?
So we're saying it's her choice.
You
Right.
know, it's her choice.
That's the big key word, choice.
So what do we do with the woman who can't afford?
I guess, you know, a lot of them turn to welfare. And that's also a problem in our society, how much there is
Step
of
out for
things.
one second.
Sure.
But there are no real answers. I don't know everything. I wish I could say I did. I don't. You
Right.
know, I don't know.
It's not necessarily there's any discrimination. It's just, and there might be some people
Well,
out there.
there is some discrimination. Let me
Sure.
just say this: there are women, there even in low-level jobs. A man in a sanitation worker, take for instance, who collects trash and makes more than a woman who is a clerk typist or a clerical worker, and that clerical worker has a lot more skills. But that man makes more because back in the day, they were presumed to be head of household. So they were paid more money. But today, many women are head of household. Keep me on. You don't have to cut me.
Check it out.
Would you, it's my website's McFloogle.com, McFloogle.